What is up, guys? Today is Thursday, September the 23rd, 2021, and I want to get into this article that I was reading, and this was a couple of days ago. I actually just read this article. Actually, I just read this article like 2 days ago, but it was published September 20th, 2021. Well, that would have been like Monday or something. But yeah, I was reading this article like 2 nights ago, and I'm just gonna go ahead and read the title. It says, "Abortion is Murder." Pope Francis says, while urging media to read a science book, it is a human life. Now, we know that, especially us in our evangelical circles, that we are very critical of the Pope and Catholicism, Roman Catholicism. And a lot of people have called this man the Antichrist and all of this stuff here. But I don't really get into, I ain't even going to lie. I used to have that mindset when I first started coming to the faith. I thought that the Pope was the Antichrist, and it was just certain people that I was following on YouTube led me to that type of mindset, but I'm just glad I've been delivered from that mindset. But very interesting stuff that the Pope has said. Now, this does not how can I put this? This doesn't surprise me, because if anybody knows anything about Catholics, they're very pro-life. All right? And to be honest, I think that they're the ones who are leading the fight when it comes to abortion. So if anyone is doing a bigger job than the Catholics, I would like to see it, to be honest. But the Catholic Church is leading the fight when it comes to abortion. All right? Or being against abortion. All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and read this article. It says, Pope Francis last week pointed out to the church's teaching as well as to science in condemning abortion as murder, although he also urged the church to be compassionate on the issue. The Pope made the remarks during a flight from Slovakia to Rome, in which he discussed multiple issues, including abortion and same-sex marriage. On both issues, he held to the church's traditional position according to the Vatican's communications arm. Quote, "Abortion is murder. The church cannot change his position," the Pope says. He added, "Whoever has an abortion kills. No mincing words." No, this Antichrist didn't. This Antichrist did not just call abortion murder. Man, or actually he said that the abortion kills. And he says no mincing words. But this is the Antichrist. Whew. But we got a lot of these woke church dudes running around here being all mamby-pamby with it. They weren't about George Floyd and police brutality and racism that is disproportionately affecting the black community. But they're not talking about abortion. They push abortion to the side. But you got this Antichrist Pope who is standing firm and being against abortion. Quote, "Take any book on embryology for medical students," he said. "The third week after conception, all the organs are already there, even the DNA. It is a human life. This human life must be respected. This principle is so clear. To those who cannot understand, I would ask this question. Is it right to kill a human life to solve a problem? Is it right to hire a hitman to kill a human life? Scientifically, it is a human life." He's saying scientifically. He's not saying, well, according to me, and in my opinion, he's saying scientifically. Hashtag trust the science. So we got the, quote, Antichrist standing more firm on human life than a lot of these false pastor, megachurch preachers, and woke church advocates. Let's continue to read. Where did I stop? Is it right to take it out to solve? Yeah, is it right to take it out to solve a problem? That is why the church is so harsh on the issue, because if it accepts this, it is as if it accepts daily murder. Let's continue to read. Pope Francis referenced an unnamed head of state who told him that the country's demographic decline began when abortion became popular. I agree, to a certain degree. The Pope's comments on abortion were in response to a question about offering communion to politicians who are pro-choice. This man, the Pope, they're asking him, would you refuse communion to someone or a politician who is pro-choice? Because you know that there's a lot of these quote-unquote politicians, or should I say they are politicians who are quote-unquote Catholic or quote-unquote Christian. And they're asking the Pope, would you give these people communion? He says, quote, I have never refused the Eucharist to anyone, the Pope said. Communion is not a prize for the perfect. Communion is a gift, a present. It is in the presence of Jesus in the church and in the community. So I guess basically what he's saying is that he'll give it to him anyway. So I may have misread that earlier. Let me see. Yeah, because they asked him about communion. So he says he's never refused the Eucharist to anyone. Okay, he said it is not a prize for the perfect. Communion is a gift, a present. It is the presence of Jesus Christ in the church and the community. So, yeah. And like I said, he's probably saying that, yeah, you can still take it. You can still take communion. But he's he's standing very firm on his position for abortion. But anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and move on because I don't want to dive too deep into that, because I'm going to end up going down a rabbit hole and then I'm going to end up addressing that. And basically, I don't want to misrepresent what's going on here, because I could turn around and say something crazy, and that's probably not what is being said. But anyway, this is almost the end of this article. He also urged pastors to practice closeness, compassion, and tenderness with individuals on the issue. Meanwhile, Pope Francis said he opposes the recognition of same-sex marriage. How many of these false pastor preachers are swaying on the issue of same-sex marriage? Think about it. One person that comes directly to my mind is T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes says that the church is evolving when it comes to homosexuality. I think Joel Osteen has a similar take on it. I don't know what guys like Creflo Dollar or some of these other guys, I don't know what their public position is, but as we can see that the evangelical church has really flip-flopped on that issue. But one thing I can say is that the Catholic Church has been consistent on that. But I'm going to get into that later. Quote, marriage is a sacrament. The church has no power to change the sacraments as the Lord has instituted them, he said. The Lord is good. He desires the salvation of all, but please don't make the church deny her truth. Many people with a homosexual orientation approach penance. They seek counsel from the priest. The church helps them, But the sacrament of marriage is something else. So basically what he's saying is that, yeah, people who identify as homosexual, they come to the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church is basically saying, well, you guys know exactly where we stand. You know, we're not gonna backpedal on that issue. Now I want to go ahead and stop right here for a moment, because I don't want people to start thinking that, oh, maybe he's trying to be soft with the Catholics and maybe he's a closet Catholic. No, if anyone has done any type of studies on the Catholic Church versus Protestantism, and me, I'm actually Reformed, but anybody who's actually done any studies on the differences between what we believe and what they believe, know that there is a lot of problems with Catholic theology when it pertains to the Bible, practices, what they consider church history, things of that nature. Okay. Now, like I said, again, I don't go as far as to calling the Pope the Antichrist and all of that stuff. His position is unbiblical, and I'm not really going to get too much into Catholic teaching, but you guys kind of get the idea. But when we come back to the topic of this article from ChristianHeadlines.com, which I am going to put a link in the description so you can go and read this for yourself. You have to ask yourself, as the church, how come we're so divided on this? But when it comes to the Catholic Church, they've always been consistent on it. Now, I do want to put this disclaimer out here. Some of the liberalism, because Pope Francis is very liberal. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that he is considered to be one of the most liberal popes ever. And the Catholic Church is kind of dividing over that. So there's a lot of stuff going on within the Catholic Church, but my main argument is when it comes to abortion, and let's just talk about the black church. Let's forget about all of the other churches. Let's forget about white evangelical churches, any other churches or whatever. Let's focus on the black church. We are so divided over this issue. It's not even funny. Because there's a lot of black folks who go to church and they support abortion. Some of them will tell you that they think it's wrong, but they're sending their daughters and their granddaughters down to the abortion clinic when they're getting pregnant out of wedlock, or they're getting pregnant and they're underage. So these are some of the church secrets that a lot of people don't talk about that happens in the black church, because we don't exercise church discipline in the modern black church. So what we do, and this is the reason why I'm so against CRT, critical race theory and woke church stuff, because this is a distraction from the real issues that happen in black America, things that we need to be addressing as a people. We don't want to talk about abortion. We don't want to clean that up, that egregious sin. But we want to talk about the cops. We want to correct the white evangelical churches. We want to correct the police. We want to correct the government, but we're going to ignore what's going on in our own churches. We don't want to talk about those people who are sitting in our own pews. So this is the reason why I hold the position that I hold to. Because if we can sit back and call out the Catholics and call out the Catholic Church, who's been consistent on their stance when it comes to homosexuality and abortion, then where are we? And we're so divided, we flip-flop so much. And we wonder why the church has no power. The black church, that's what I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about any other church. And for people who's going to, well, you can't say black church because, it's don't get triggered. When I use that term black church, it's because of the culture, the black church culture. And I'm going to go into this briefly, and then I'm going to digress, because I have to explain this, because when I start to use terms like this in my videos, it seems like it's a trigger word for people. So we all know that after slavery, blacks could not fellowship with whites. This is fact. It's history. I'm not saying anything that's just been hidden. I'm not trying to secretly push CRT or critical race theory, or I'm not trying to divide the church. It's a fact. Black people could not worship with white evangelicals. So therefore, black people did church one way, white people did church another way. Just like if you go to a church in China, it's different. If you go to a church, like for instance, my wife has Brazilian friends. They do church totally different from our integrated church to the black churches, the predominantly black churches that we've been in. So that's why when I say black church, I'm talking about the predominantly black churches. Now I'm going to digress from that. Had to put that out there. But why are we so concerned with other things that really don't have that much of an effect on us as a people? And I'm talking about people who are so steeped into this woke church stuff, who's so steeped into critical race theory, and they don't think that there's anything wrong with critical race theory being taught in the church. But we don't talk about abortion, which is devastating the black community. And I've said this on a couple of my videos where I think it was in 2018. I haven't checked the numbers for 2019 or 2020 or 2021, but I believe in 2018, you had more children being aborted in New York than that was actually born in that state. We're not talking about children who may have died from natural causes or who may have had some medical problems. We're not even including those numbers. So basically, if you want to put things into perspective, you had more black babies that actually died in New York in 2018 that were actually born. And a lot of it was due to abortion. I'll probably say majority of it was probably due to abortion. But we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about George Floyd. We want to talk about Breonna Taylor. We want to talk about Ahmaud Arbery. And as you can see, these are things that are not even being discussed in the news anymore. They basically played y'all to push a political narrative. But we still got black women who are a part of the 12% of the population in this country, which is black people. Black people are 12% of the population in the country, but we make up around 35% of the abortions. And then we wonder, how come we had the second highest population in this country, I think about 30 or 40 years ago. Now all of a sudden we're the third. And I think at the beginning of the 1900s, they said that the black population and the white population rivaled each other. But somehow around in the 1960s, those numbers began to decline, and they've been on a decline ever since. Now, Hispanic people have basically grown more in number than blacks. And you want to know why? Because historically, Hispanic people are Catholic. They hold to a Catholic worldview. A lot of them are Catholic. Now, not all of them. You do got a lot of Hispanics who are evangelical, but a lot of them do have a Catholic background. And when it comes to abortion, a lot of them are totally against it. So they do believe in the sanctity of life. So then we have to ask ourselves a question. When it comes to Catholics, is there something that we can learn from them when it comes to standing firm on issues like this, like abortion? Is there something that us, as black Christians in particular, we can learn about standing firm on this subject instead of it being so taboo and we don't talk about it, or being hypocrites about it? That's something that you guys need to think about. But anyway, enough of my rambling, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I mean, do you believe that abortion really isn't murder? We're actually helping women when they go to the abortion clinic, and that black women, this is something that black women need, and that abortion actually is healthcare? Or do you happen to believe that no, we actually agree with the Pope and the Catholics on this, that abortion is murder and it's not even backed up by science? No matter what we believe theologically, that's another subject for another video, but can we agree on this? And is there something that we need to really start to consider when we are having these conversations? So anyway, guys, as always, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, guys, as always. And you guys just enjoy the rest of your morning, and you have a blessed day.